sambuddhasse namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse tini akusala mulani yo bho akusala mulam doso akusala mulam moho akusala mulam ti. Dear members, sisters and brothers, Dhamma friends, yesterday we started a particular discourse known as Dasuttara Sutta, whereby Vanaya is asking us to be aware that three diminution or degrading things in our meditative life. Three things conduce to delusion, diminution, degradation, or downfall. After the instructions of Maha, we try to understand these three roots of defilements, or unwholesome roots. So, very understanding is the earliest most part, or the starting point. To understand, we must have kind of a theoretical understanding or book knowledge. And then only we can rationalize, we can deduce as to whether it is worthwhile to understand, is it possible to understand and incorporate in our life so that we can have a hope regarding this wholesome way of life, or how to get rid of these unwholesome things. This is called Chittamiya, the second stage. After listening, we individually deduce, rationalize as to whether it is something worthwhile. Once these two conditions fulfilled, only one can put that into practice. Or otherwise we can say, before to put into practice we must have theoretical understanding and mental justification of the point. Under this discourse of the Dasuttara, that is the expanding decades, here we are considering the unwholesome roots. Namely, the greed is an unwholesome root. Hatred, according to the Vanaya, the second unwholesome root. And the last one, the delusion, the ignorance, is the third unwholesome root. So we started the first one, the very first one, the greed. And that greed itself is working in a multifaceted way, multifarious way. The very first one, according to the presentation, the most gross as starting point is the pleasure principle, or we can say the sensuous pleasure. Sensuous gratification. So, to understand what does it mean by the gratification, sensual gratification or sense pleasure, which can give rise to this unwholesome state, we have to start with this restraint. The very first one is the moral restraint. We basically take the vow. We try to abstain from gross transgressional kind of things, which is even at the social level is is diminishing, degrading you, and there is a downfall, as I tried to enumerate yesterday, the killing, stealing, and cross-sexual misconduct are known as the physical misdeeds. And lying, slandering, harsh words, and tale-carrying are known as verbal misdeeds. To be qualified to go into deep, we take this form, we take these precepts as much as possible so that we can go a little deeper in the sense whenever we are restrained according to these precepts, physically and verbally, we are becoming qualified to see the mind aspect of our life, the mental aspect of life. So, we are facilitating with our moral restraint and then physically become qualified to go into mental restraint, namely concentration restraint. So that is why to facilitate that kind of way of life, we come to the forest, or sit under the tree, come to a place like this, we call secluded places. And adopting into that, acclimatizing into that itself is a great sacrification, a restraint. And that is not enough. Even after that, even after achieving that, we have to listen to the teaching of the Buddha, what is the next step, namely the restraint towards the concentration or the calmness. So there what we do is appointing an object of meditation, appointing a reference point or a benchmark or sign, and try to keep the mind as much as possible that appointed object, the appointed benchmark, appointed sign, and you have to understand that the sign we are appointing is a neutral one, it's an equanimous one, and it's a freely given one, it is a repetitive one. So when and where we are focusing our attention to that kind of a repetitive thing, the natural thing, the equanimous one, the neutral one, and once that we comes to know, occasionally my mind is going to that particular sign. We call in Pali Kammatthana the neutral place. We can understand it is very difficult to continue to keep our attention on that particular object. We call the primary object. And it is like you are liking a cattle or an oil lamp and keeping in the center of a playground. There are a lot of cross currents are there, winds are there, so you cannot expect the flame to be upright. As and when the cross winds are coming, the flame is moving, flickering all the time. But whenever there are no cross winds, the natural way of the flame is upright. But as far as it is in the middle of a playground or open area, and as far as there are cross currents, the flame is flickering, wavering, and that is negative. Something like that, we appoint that neutral object, we appoint that equanimous object, the repeating recurrent object, and free of charge recurrent object, and try to focus the attention. And there we can see cross currents. these cross currents, under the present context, we consider as defilements. So they come and disturb the normal, upright burning of the flame, and we are just observing as to how much the flame burns in the neutral way, in the equanimous way, natural way. Instead, what happens is there are so much of cross currents. But whatever the distraction, whatever the difficulties, whatever the impediments going to be, these defilements cannot do a permanent damage to the flame. Whenever distractions are there, flame become upright. Imagine you are going to fix a chimney, a glass flow to the flame, then naturally it becomes upright. So likewise, whenever you are observing your mind, the flickering mind, and be patient to see how much it has been shaken by the cross currents, is a kind of a feasibility study as to see the nature of mind. So whenever you become angry with that kind of flickering and wavering, whenever you are imagining not to have that kind of a changing and shaking, you are not ready to study yet. You are not doing the feasibility study. You are deriving conclusions. Sometimes you may say, I can't meditate because my mind is always shaky, wavering, and one after the other distractions are happening, therefore it is hopeless to do. Or some may think there may be a divine kind of a power, whereby by that kind of blessings, the one day the flame will be upright. So many anticipation can happen, it is natural to happen. There are also another set of defilements. There are also another set of defilements. That set of defilements only happening in the yogi's mind. When you are at home, you don't know. Because you have not given that a chance. You have not taken that kind of an experiment. So therefore, appear like that defilements are increasing as such. Whenever you try to give a neutral observation or distance observation to your primary object, and there you understand your nature of the mind, and you understand endless distractions are happening. So this is the beginner's mind we call. It's very beautiful. It's very vengeful, very action-packed. So when you are observing, you can see, even though the mind is wavering and shaking and carried away by these distractions, there are events. Still you can be aware. The flame is there. It is moving here and there. And likewise you can be aware. That is, your awareness cannot be distracted by the distractions. You can be aware. So this is the most challenging part for the beginner, and I think it is not only in meditation, not only in mindfulness, whatever the talent you are going to develop, even if you are going to be a musician with a musical instrument, or even if you are going to learn another technique, the skillfulness, everywhere the beginners get this kind of a distraction, so you have to be very patient. You have to keep on continuing observations, observing, and then only one day you can understand it is none of your personal mistake. It is nothing to be regretted. It is not a disqualification. This is the only time you come to know about the nature of the mind. So are we facing this or escaping it? Finding ways and means to escape. So whenever we are in a residential retreat like that, we are met up with this situation again and again. maybe number of times within 1 hour session of walking and sitting. And when and where you are familiarizing these kind of distractions as well as the primary object that you have to maintain, the primary object whereby you have to take refuge and continually you may learn ways and means how to apply your mind to the primary object. Most important thing is you must recognize amidst of all the challenges, what is the point, what is the primary object, what is the pivotal point, what is the object that you must apply. That applying mind, we call applying thought. In the first and foremost, you understand, you have a kind of a will, you have a kind of a volition, even though it's a failure, repetitive application that one can do, that we call the mental restraint. The first part of the mental restraint is, whatever the distractions, you can repetitively apply. And when and where this repetitive application becomes consistent, one split second to another split second like when it is happening, it is like a magic. Then only the discursive thought or taste of the primary object, the nature of the primary object, the touch of the primary object can happen. First thing is applying thoughts. The second one is understanding the taste, understanding the shape, understanding the manner of the object can happen. So whenever these two mental aspects are going to work, it is like target shooting. And aiming your arrow or bow or your gun to the target goal is one thing, and hold it thorough and then triggering it off. Then only the bullet or the arrow can go to the desired target goal. So at the beginning, it is very difficult to hold the weapon and to trigger it off towards the particular direction. So you must have trial and error. After doing repetitively, one day you may just get the idea how to go into the target goal, but yet you can't aim at the bullseye. But that's the starting point. So likewise, when and where you apply your mind, we call noting mind, or labeling mind, the task, this particular task we call labeling or noting, when and where the primary object appearing, you note it in order to promote it. One day, your noting will exactly go into the primary object. You can check it, you can feel it, you can taste it. You can see the shape. And after a while, you can see the manners, the shape is changing amidst of all the kind of distractions. So here the distractions, basically because your greed or your desire to have other visual objects rather than this monotonous, neutral, equilibrium, equanimous object. Mind feels tired, looking here and there rather than the point of primary object. Listening here and there in order to get a variety of entertainment. Smelling, tasting, and bodily postural movements and daydreaming, fantasizing things can happen. But usually, the yogi will understand that distractions are outside, not within. Therefore, he finds fault in distractions. So, beginners always asking to have a meditation center without much of distracting sounds, visual objects, smells, taste, and full of comfortable sitting. No harm to give it, but it will take, that is what Sariputta wanted to give the message, that you can't reach your applied thought, cannot go into that appointed neutral object, the free of charge object, repetitive object, because there are some tendencies, some kind of desires, greediness, to see things, hear things, smell, taste, touch and thoughts. So when and where you are reporting, the particular way your mind is get distracted may be due to visual object. Even you sit with closed eyes, the visual object can happen. And some individual can attribute to the distracting sounds. And sometimes smells, taste, and difficult situation in your posture. And some daydreaming fantasizing. So how many or how much time will it take for a particular person to understand my distractions are characteristic personality traits? It indicates who am I. Because in a given time, all the distractions are there in the table. What you pick is sometimes predestined. The person who is complaining about the visual objects, they have a natural tendency always to get entangled with natural visual objects and find fault with it, that is due to these visual objects. Or eye consciousness, I can't go to my primary object. Yet another person sitting in the same meditation hall may complain, I find difficult to go to the primary object. Basically, my mind is distracted by sounds. Maybe internal, maybe external. And it is less in occasion or frequency to complain on smells and the taste. That means tongue and the nose make less amount of defilements. The highest amount of defilements you find with the eye. That is why in the scriptures the Buddha mentioned eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. And the mind is the immaterial kind of organ. So still we have our own specific complaints, specific selection. That is what you call natural selection. Whenever you go to a buffet diet, what are you going to serve into your plate is impromptu. It is electric thing. But females and males, elders and young people, and they have their own favorite recipe. But you serve it to your table is not depending on the table. So that is your natural selection. So that natural selection is going to talk, going to give so much of information. Only thing you have to make sure is, don't complain about this, what you have selected. I am repeating, what is the distraction you are complaining, make disturbance in your understanding. Understand the distraction without much of complaining in a feasibility manner, in a studying way, as a neutral observer. And when you are presenting the listener, your teacher or your advanced yogi or practitioner must not be misdirected by your unwanted interpretation, your unwanted complaint. If you can report it as it is, that is the point where the teaching of the Buddha is very scientific. So observation you must report without bias, without preconceived ideas, without premeditated ideas, and you are the person observing, you are just reporting. And when and where you keep on continuing like that, one day you may come up to the point where whenever mind is going to your primary object, desired primary object, not only you make sure the mind went into the primary object, but you can verify it is not an imagination. It exactly went into the primary object because I feel so and so. I got the touch so and so. I see the shape so and so. So whenever you are sitting and meditating, if you are reporting that my primary object is in breath and out breath, for example, and whenever you are with primary object, you have to not only say that I was successful in applying my mind to the primary object, you must have your own under the nose experience. I felt the cool nature of the in-breath at the tip of my nose. Or I feel the coolness at the top of my lip. Or you may feel kind of a rubbing sensation at the bend above the nostril level. Or you feel kind of expansion in your belly, tummy, or in your whole body. As the in-breath happens, you feel. And contrast enough for a beginner specifically, with the out-breath happens, you may not be feeling the same end of the nostril. You may be feeling some kind of a warm air come and touch from the upper part of your lip. Or sometimes it will be the same place. Or the contraction of your body and the belly, tummy, according to the pressure with your clothing, you may feel that is out-breath. So for the beginners, it is advantageous for the beginner. The in-breath experience and the out-breath experience somewhat contrast, but you must be very sharp. That very sharpness is called vichara, or discursive mind, or tasting of your object. So I am talking about a very subtle thing. Whenever you are to see, whenever you are to feel, whenever you are to get a touch of the vichara or discursive thoughts, your mind is very silent. The commentators give an example. The bee come and sit on the flower is the applying thought. The bee is rotating and collecting honey, and the pollen is the discussing thoughts and get the touch. Or when you hit a gong, the hitting is like applying thoughts. There is reverberating, the continuous sound according to the metal, depending on the gong. So it is discussive thoughts, like each and every contamination or each and every confrontation with an object, there are two aspects, whether the primary object or not. You have the applying thoughts and the discursive thought, pitaka and vichara. So there are kind of a will, kind of a volition power, kind of a willpower. You are going to note, you are going to label your primary object again and again. So more chances are there mind to go to the primary object. You may note only the secondary object when and where it is overpowering your primary object. When the primary object is no more, then you can use the same technique of noting the secondary object. Otherwise, as far as the primary object is in view with, don't worry about the peripheral objects, secondary objects. Take mean advantage of the situation and apply the mind again and again with or without noting. Beginners are usually given the instruction, please note it. Then it will be somewhat easier you to keep the object in view with. And not only that, you must feel it. You must get the touch of it. You must get the taste of it. That is called the sap of it. So that means you are well instructed. When and where your noting mind goes to the object, you know verifically, you verify, this is the object, this is not the secondary object, nothing. I know my mind went to the primary object. And because I know these are the characteristics of the primary object, the shape, the color, the manner, or the kind. So therefore your report is very scientific. So when this kind of approach is there, you are weakening the defilements and giving more chances for you to go to the primary object again and again. So that two things can happen. One thing is your familiarization, your time with primary objects slowly increasing. That is we call quantitative increase, quantitative promotion in your primary mindfulness. And the qualitative, you can get a lot of information about your primary object. The shape, the color, the manner, the sap of the primary object. So this is the way you become sharp, you become skillful, you become restrained. And when and where primary object is being overpowered by the secondary object, you generally have a notion, but the most frequent primary object, most frequent distraction, that is also a personality trait. That's also indicating who am I. So don't distract, don't present this information to the listener in a complicated way due to your interpretation, due to your value judgment. Just present it. In that sense, when we are introducing mindfulness to the children, they are very crispy. They are just like birds talking. Exactly same that happens. But when we become elderly, our both observations are always interpreted, always with commentaries. So a restraint must be not to give commentaries. If at all commentaries are there, you may put it at the end of your essay. So when it is happening, you are promoting the mindfulness in the quantity and quality. So, to encourage or to catalyze the mindfulness safely or theoretically one can say, when and where you are mindful on your primary object, your mind is totally free of defilements. So the very first day, you get the understanding, yes, my mind is in that particular thought comment, just in front of the primary object, and I know it, and I verify it due to this characteristic, that an indication that at that moment, mind is purified. But it's a huge task, huge challenge. Next moment again it will be different. So you'll be utterly discouraged whenever you come to a pure state for one split second and again falling into defiled or distracted position is the most difficult part for the beginner. But anyway, that the second thought or second defilement or second distraction is not doing permanent damage. Again, if you are courageous enough to apply mind again and again, there may be another occasion, no sooner, with the primary object. So you are touching the primary object frequency bound to be increasing. In sitting, how many breaths you can be face to face. So how many risings and falling you can be face to face. How many touches your body to the ground, be face to face. In walking, how many left leg and right leg you can continuously keep on moving. Maybe amidst of here and there distraction and defilements. And you can feel the hardness, softness, cool and warm, movements and stable kind of characteristics also. Otherwise, you must be sharp enough, you must be efficient enough to pick these details, minor details, whether you touch the ground basically with your heel or you play the full flat sole, or from the heel it is rolling through the arch to the toes. And what is the character you are following? The hardness starting from the heel to the toes, or cold, heat. What is the character is going? That means you are more and more you are to observe the characteristic. Less and less defilements can distract you. That means your distance between the observing mind and the observed object become closer and closer and closer. The more the mindfulness continues, more and more concentration, more and more one-pointedness going to happen. So mindfulness is the one under your responsibility. Whenever the mindfulness is continuous, the calm mind becomes calm and collected upon the primary object. Distance between the object and the observed mind will be reduced, and you feel kind of a calmness and one-pointedness and concentration. That part is everyone's dream. Everyone is waiting and searching for this calmness, searching for this concentration, searching for this one-pointedness, but that is not directly you can tackle. Only you have to be patient, to be continue with the mindfulness. More and more you try to be mindfulness, you may find there's a cumulative effect. There is a momentum, there's an acceleration in the mindfulness, so that calmness and the concentration will set in. So it's even though I explain it as a scientific thing, the continuation of mindfulness and the finding ways and means is kind of an aesthetic thing. It's an art. You have to learn what is the best condition and how much energy you must apply, how much you must have patience, and how much you must be encouraged to do this trial and error is a kind of an art. So some people find it is easier, good combination in walking meditation. Some other may find it is easier in sitting meditation. But still further, all of a sudden, while you are taking a bath, while you are brushing your teeth, while you are eating, or doing day-to-day activities, all of a sudden you may meet up with yourself and you be stuck in the mindfulness without that kind of a promotion, without as a will. That is a kind of endowment. When you are practicing mindfulness in the residential retreat, whenever the mind learns accidentally, that can happen. So it is a kind of an endowment. It's a good sign. And not only that, whenever you learn the art, how to get face-to-face with your primary object, how to shoot again and again into the primary object, then in the group itself you can see the person who is not restrained in that manner is making noise, making distraction to the other people, interact and fight with the world and the nature and the people. So better not to go into disciplining them, understand even if I become mindful, that is the nature what to happen. So your understanding of other people, not to gain fame, money, or any kind of your attraction and your law of attraction with other mindful people, specifically in a group like that, can happen as far as you are facilitating your basic beginner's mind to with that right thoughts and the discursive thought. When that can happen, you are keeping away, you are doing away, done away with your sensuous desire. Kind of a sacrification, kind of a restraint. But that much of the understanding of the greed in terms of the sensuous gratification and the sensuous pleasure, or your craving for that kind of sensuous pleasure is not enough to get a full mastery. There is another kind of manifestation of the same greed, same kind of a desire, not my sensuous gratification, our sensual gratification, my family members' happiness, my family members' well-being, and their pleasure, and my friends, our clan. So likewise, the first and foremost, or the starting point may be your own sensuous gratification or pleasure principle towards your senses, that we are social beings. So therefore, whenever that happens, you feel like sharing with others, or you feel worried about some of the family members or close friends. They are not in a happy situation, they are always with friction and trouble. So these things also come into the picture. So when and where you are ready and ready to sacrifice your sensuous pleasure for a time being and try to maximize your primary object, it's a kind of an achievement, but yet your responsibilities towards your family members and others also can come. So whenever that kind of a thing, responsibilities and your duties to the others, everything happen, again the beginner get bewildered by fault. Should I stop my meditation and my well-being and my sympathy to myself and go into the others, or when I am mindful, when I am purified myself, I can do a better job towards others. Therefore, I must first and foremost adjust myself, purify myself, and then be qualified to be others. It's a kind of a wavering thing. Scripturally, or books may say, mind your business. So I wrote a book, be mindful and be mind your business. I can do it because I am an unmarried person. So I can have mind, but I know you will not be happy with that, and you will not be agree with me, because these things are always coming and bombarding, and therefore, whenever the greed changing from the sensuous gratification to the well-being of others, there are some marks, there are some signs. If you are sharp enough, you can be aware, but don't be judgmental. Just like your sensuous gratification, you are just doing a feasibility study. Whenever your mind becomes calm, whenever your mind becomes collected comparatively, there may be that kind of social well-being of the others, society at large can happen. As a citizen, cultured person, you always usually appreciate it. But in an intensive meditation retreat, whenever you are gathering the momentum toward the quantity and quality of the mindfulness, it may not be always positive. It may not be always appreciable, so therefore you have to be aware of them. There are 6 that kind of traits recognized in this Thero tradition, and each of us may obsess with that kind of thing. Not only obsessed with your sensual gratification, so you may be obsessed with the helping others in our society at large. So one thing is, you feel about your relatives. Jnati vitaka. Whenever mind is free of any kind of a distraction, then naturally you may be concerned about relatives, sometimes correcting them, or sometimes sharing with them with love, or sometimes due to worry that can happen. So you have to understand this particular thought is not indicating that I am with primary object. That very thought is not verifying that I am tasting and feeling and touching the primary object, but it is a contemplation. It is a mind-made But specific it has trait that I'm talking about and thinking about and daydreaming about that and fantasizing about that of my relatives. This is one aspect. The other aspect is the compassion towards the suffering beings. That's also we have been cultured and we have been trained. So therefore whenever such a thing happens, we are get moved compassionately. But here there is no such a thing under your very nose. This is something coming from your mind. So okay, now I am fairly at least in the neutral position, but there are a lot of people, they have nothing to eat in the night and they have that terminal cancer or kind of a situation. What can I do for them, like the compassion towards others can happen? So how can you verify this concept and the reality of primary object? Very difficult. It's a concept. But the primary object is a verifiable thing. You are going to the in-breath and out-breath, in-breath is cooler, out-breath is warmer, in-breath is at the tip of the nose, and out-breath is on the same place or on the top of the lip. So this and this compassionate thinking to the others, it's utterly common concept. So what is the difference between the concept and reality? It's a great task. And sometimes you feel like Janapada Vitaka. What is happening outside the world? Whether the dollar value is gaining or losing. Or what is the relationship between China and America? Is it becoming friendly or is it becoming antagonistic? Or whether there is a cumulative tornado is going to happen? Or earthquake going to happen? So this kind of news we don't have for the moment, so therefore, Janapada Vitaka. Because at home, it's at your fingertip. You can see what is happening, the climatic change. So whenever you come to the meditation and whenever you are focused to the primary object, that you feel like a very narrow, going to the primary object, so Janapada Vitaka can happen. And sometimes you feel, so far I live on this earth, and I have these kind of diseases, I have these kind of bad habits. So I am already interested with that disease and that kind of thing. Today onward, I must take only the holistic food. I must take yoga exercises. And kind of thinking can happen not to get into diseases. So ultimately that can be an obsession, Amara Vitaka. I must never die. I must be healthy throughout. And therefore I must have this feeding habit and the exercising habit and all the kind of things can happen. It is all Amara Vitaka. And Anavanyati Parisamhita Vitaka. So far I have received so much of blaming from my elders and from the society, punishments. So I must adjust myself not to do even a trivial mistake. I must be perfect Samaritan. And likewise you may be dreaming as to not to get any single blame. I mean, it's a good thing. But they are theoretical maximum situations. You are shifting from the reality to these concepts. These concepts are very prolific. They are dragging you into daydreaming and fantasizing and chain reactions. And it appears like pet issues. And easy to understand your primary object, it is this very pale. It is very equanimous, it's very bold, it's very monotonous. Instead of the thinking can take you for a ride. And your mind can easily justify without knowing it is a concept. So this is how our mind is wasting time. So to understand under the very nose, on the spot, you are the judge, you are the culprit, you are the witness, you are the jury, and open court. report it as it is never happens. Never you can, because your interpretation and interpretation and chewing and ruminating the name and storytelling and everything is mess up the situation. So therefore I agree, it is not the situation we can expect from the beginner. But if you know the situation, whenever you are going beyond your sensual gratification, your eye, nose, ear, nose, tongue, body and the mind, there's another part, very probably, that you may be thinking about the world outside. So these are the newsmakers. When you go to television, when you listen to radio, when you see the news feed, they give you in a packet. Within 5 minutes, talking. You feel like keep your plate of rice or plate of meal aside and look at the television, and it's so probably it is going there. And these newsmakers, they are really know about that. So therefore they collected the worst set of information from the world and put it in a 5 minutes news read, and not to complain, they give it each in every hour, 5 minutes each hour, collected everything. And whenever you are not having that, you feel like you are outcasted, you are not social enough, you are not forward enough. So therefore you feel, okay, becoming mindfulness, okay, no problem, but once in a way we must have that kind of news feed. And that is what happened when we are associating ourselves with non-meditating people. This is their way. That's where they keep the companionship and sharing these gossips. For them it is not a gossip. It's an essential part, just like when you are eating, you must have some vitamins. You must have some condiments. You must have some kind of the tasting thing to your food. So, additives. But most of the additives are carcinogenic. So, rather than the simple food. So, more you make it, that can make you are thrilled and frilled and thrills and everything is there. But simply you are off the track. You are not in something very private. You are always conceptualized. So concept and reality don't expect that, specifically as a beginner, to be completely in the reality. Our mind cannot. The mind needs some kind of inferential knowledge, some kind of a deductive knowledge. So therefore safely, masters are telling, keep the personal experience, the verifiable experience as the forefront. And as far as that is forefront, the deductive knowledge and the inferential knowledge behind no harm. But whenever the deductive knowledge takes the upper hand and taking the forefront, then you are eccentric, you are daydreaming, you are fantasizing, storytelling. So there is no one can come and help you, unless otherwise you become vigilant, unless otherwise you become diligent. So simply we can say, we are promoting the simple, humble mindfulness, something verifiable under your very nose, but still you know, whether like it or not, this kind of inferential knowledge can happen. So you are treated in the due place. According to their own due place, always try to keep the direct touch, under the nose experience forefront. And others don't try to do away with inferential knowledge and the deductive knowledge and this kind of a daydreaming, and always try to, whenever you come to know that I am eccentric, I am in a daydreaming, I am in a concept, you must know where to go and find a refuge for your humble mindfulness. That means you must know what is your private. So if you know, you are in the safe side. But if you do not know very difficult to appoint a primary object at that time unless otherwise you appointed beforehand. For in trouble area, very difficult to start mindfulness, do the beginner stuff. That's why we come here. Simply just cut off as much as possible from the outside connections and try to reinstall, how to find our domain, how to find our oasis, how to find our assembly ground, how to find our pivotal point, how to find our primary object or benchmark. The difficulty is that benchmark is not so attractive. Mind is always try to find more attractive, more dramatic thing, more eventful thing. So therefore, this restraint, which what you call the concentration restraint, is somewhat different from the moral restraint. Moral restraint is pertaining to your physical and verbal behavior, but this is on top of that. You observe the tendency of your mind. Still, you have already appointed a safe land, the oasis, and you can see it is not only my mind is disobedient and running everywhere for the dramatic thing and the eventful thing and colorful thing. It's a human mind. If you are claiming this is my mind, you become inferior in your thinking. You will be losing your courage. So you have to understand through my mind I am learning the humanity. This is the word. So therefore some people, to encourage that kind of thing, they say is, whenever one person, one single person, know that I am mindful or my primary object, is the only person make a peace of the world. He is cooling down the world. He is not polluting the world. Thought moment by thought moment, he is doing a silent revolution, giving a silent sermon, knowing this is the way mind is working. And he is not going to correct others. He is not regret about understanding that situation, because he knows it's a noble quest, it's a noble way. Early information may be a little troubling, but very important. So therefore, when and where you are confronted with the distraction, we are confronted with the discouraging thing, you have to understand it is not your mistake. You have to disclaim it, but try to be vigilant, try to be diligent, try to be mindful and understand if possible. What is the reality and not the concept? And the most important thing, the Buddha, as I explained, the Sarvata is telling you, even if you understand the concept and reality discreetly, if you can't articulate it, if you can't tell it to someone, your benefits are not full-fledged. So therefore, after understanding, to relate it to someone, you have to tell in your interview reports. You have to tell it to someone, and the other person must not be an enlightened person. Other person, if he or she is listening carefully, can second your suggestion. And it is a great encouragement. So that's why we are associating our fellow meditators and sharing our merits. So when we are doing the collective interviews, common interviews, we can understand as a perception of the other person. We will not be judgmental of the others, but we will be happy. We will be appreciating good that you at least you came out with your first-hand experience, and ultimately that becomes everyone's experience. So we may say, hey, be mindful and mind your business, but it is happening in the very wide view. So therefore, this theory understanding is encouraged. So please, get encouraged and try to get the picture as such, so that it will be beneficial for purifying yourself as well as the society at large. With that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.